And welcome back to Blasphemous. I don't remember if I mentioned this already, but there is an option called Background Selector where you can change the title screen.
Spooky!
Oh!
This is the one based on the Amanecidas, the DLC post-game bosses. And you remember last time we beat Isadora and got a particular costume from her, so we'll be fighting with that.
Oh, we get to cosplay as her now. That's pretty cool. This is rad, actually.
That was very nice.
Yeah, by the way, you saw that the runtime there was 42 hours, 33 minutes. That's because when you ascend using New Game Plus, it counts your total runtime across all playthroughs.
I'm sorry, you've played this for 42 hours for the Let's Play? At this point, even in the recording?
Yeah.
Wow.
Including, oh yeah, this is the, why am I forgetting the name of this spell? Because I've used it a lot recently, but it's the invincibility spell.
Yeah. The auto parry. From beyond the grave.
So in this video, we will be fighting all 5 of the Amadecidas bosses. We're going to start off with the one that I spent 3 hours trying to beat at the start of playthrough number 2. It's time for some payback.
Oh, yeah!
Here we go.
I am excited for this. We are finally going to demonstrate our power level after collecting so much over the course of the whole game. Gonna pay off today.
Yeah, and we'll be using the Caballero, which is that's the prayer that we got for freeing all of the cherubs.
I've got bad news about your main menu background. It seems to have decayed a little.
Oh well.
Oh my god.
They're doing pretty well against that crystal shield we were having trouble with.
Yeah, I was in the last video when we first got the company arrows. I had incorrectly said that they are around infinitely. There is actually a timer, and they disappear when either the timer is used up or all of the cherubs have fired their one shot and then left.
This is already going so very much faster by an order of magnitude.
Well, it also helps that I have now upgraded the Mea Culpa to the fullest.
Yeah, baby.
Perhaps more importantly, I've gotten all of the health upgrades.
That's true. Being able to last for more than one hit without using a flask is probably really handy. I like the way that this game lays out upgrades. I guess I haven't really commented on that, but I think it's very cool how your upgrades aren't stats that you level up specifically with your magical ethereal powers of souls not related to the game. It's stuff that you find in the environment. I think that's a much better way to do a game like this than to have points you can just grind out.
Yeah, I mean, I've made the comparison to Sekiro before, where you have one weapon that you get used to throughout the entirety of the game, and there are some sub-weapons you use as well, but you're still your primary weapon is just something you learn to master, as opposed to finding an axe that has +2 damage than what you're already carrying.
Yeah, speaking of +2 axe, it looks like they're using that on you right now. I mean, this is an example, right, where you just went around picking up items. We didn't actually really put all of these. God, what even are the collectible souls called in this game? I don't remember.
They're called Tears of Atonement.
Thank you. It's been said like once.
It is specifically the manifestation of everyone's guilt in Custodia. You are taking on. We are playing as the penitent one, and it's not just your own penitence that we are going through, but also, taking on the guilt of everyone else in this world.
I kind of wish that some of these folks, like this guy here, would just penitent themselves. Then, in that case, he's got an axe. Why do you need to swing your sword at him 50 times? Just trip on a cobblestone, and it's boss fight solved.
You can block these. I just wasn't very good at parrying them at the time.
I was gonna say, this boss seems to have so many moves that are just parryable but not blockable. Can you just block them?
For example, I was wrong about this. I had assumed back in my very first attempt that was just a one-hit kill that was unavoidable. Turns out I could not possibly have been more wrong about that attack. First of all, it's only a one-hit kill if you don't have any health upgrades. Second of all, not only can you just move out of the way, but third of all, you can parry it. As I just did about 30 seconds ago. So I have been wrong many times before in my various Let's Plays. I don't think I've ever been that wrong before about everything about a particular mechanic.
I'm gonna say that if it's only ever killed you in one hit because it wasn't properly blocked or parried, it ain't your fault for assuming as much. I've played a Souls game before and been smited by a laser beam I didn't know I could just hold up my shield for. Way to go, homie.
Well, I mean, it's not about shields, but C. Jacobs has done an excellent Let's Play of Bloodborne that you should check out.
Oh, thanks, dude. I appreciate the bump on that. That was a fun playthrough to do, especially because, yeah, it's a dexterity and dodging based game, which this one kind of still is. Your parry is kind of like Bloodborne's gun, in that it just puts you in a stance to parry anything that comes at you. Anything that impacts John Penitent, be it a weird charging bell man or a godlike golden skeleton with an axe, he can withstand.
The item that we picked up from the Amanecida, that is a verse spun with gold. We're actually picking up lyrics to another prayer, and once we get all of those scraps of paper with the lyrics on them, then we will get another prayer.
That's kind of brilliant. That normally prayers are, I assume, just given to you whole and complete, so you can just do the spell. But this one's in scraps. That's a clever little twist.
Yeah, there is kind of an in-universe reason for that. The big one being that the Amadecidas themselves, they are, religious figures and supernatural in that sense, but they don't worship the miracle per se. Their allegiance is very specifically to the Twisted One.
Indeed, and that is, I think that's subtle. It's a subtle difference, but there have been a couple of characters so far that I've kind of noticed don't really seem to enjoy the state that they've been put into by the coming of the miracle. I might say, let's say.
Yeah, this entire city and the religion that has built around it is essentially one long case of be careful what you wish for.
True.
It's funny. All we need now is like a Freaky Friday situation where two people swap bodies, and then we're like completely sold on that specific genie's lamp monkey paw curse. Oh, they've all got different weapons and outfits.
Yep, they do, and completely different weapons too. This one uses a bow and arrow.
I can say now that I am glad you didn't fight each of the 5 of them for 10 hours apiece. Thank you.
Yeah, my hands are also glad for that too. But yeah, that very specific distinction that the Amadecidas were only loyal to the Twisted One, that is very important once we get to the true ending in playthrough number 3.
Well, it's just interesting because these fellows, ladies, whatever they used to be, they are now covered in the same molten gold as some of the other godlike entities that we've encountered so far, but these are like the real deal. They're completely gold. Even their armor's gold. Their weapons are gold. They probably spit gold on you when they're like hovering over your corpse after winning.
Well, it is certainly some kind of gold-like liquid at the very least. We may learn more about that later.
No, it's not. No, we can't keep referring to it as piss. We can't. I made that joke once, but I mean, like, look, the gods pissing on you is a metaphor in this game, not literal. I hope.
And also just briefly going back to the importance of the Amanecidas in the story. Like, Hibriel has been giving us, bits and pieces about the background of these women. We actually briefly saw that they kind of served as almost like the bodyguards of the Twisted One's body as he was paraded through the main square.
I mean, it's just, like a real look, don't touch kind of situation. It makes sense that they have all this ceremonial garb on then.
Yeah.
They were doing that meme where the fellas carry a coffin while disco dancing.
It's jazz. Specifically, it's a New Orleans jazz funeral.
Fantastic! That's New Orleans? I didn't know that was New Orleans. Hell yeah, New Orleans!
Yeah, very specific to New Orleans. So the other, basically the main thing to take away from all of this is that, much like Mount Olympus, there is some petty rivalries going on between the various supernatural beings in this world.
I mean, it seems like
Which is-
yeah. Go ahead, Roy.
That is common of supernatural beings in literature. So
I was gonna say that's true, especially the part where they use pathetic little humans like you as tools to accomplish their goals against each other. It's like, I don't want to
Yes.
get any blood on my hands. I'm gonna make the penitent one do it. I'm gonna turn into a swan and make him do it.
Oh, I just remembered the name of the invincibility prayer. The Tiento to your twisted thorns.
Ah.
It's the one we got from what was her name? The lady that was birthed from an egg.
That.
Algracias,
Again,
I think was her name.
There you go. Some of the names I'm having trouble with as a non-neurotypical individual.
there's a lot of
like,
names.
It's not just that they're non-English names, it's that they're quite similar names a lot of the time. And I get that it's because they're not English words, and they have very similar suffixes in their actual language. It's not the game's fault. It's just that, I might have to look up a wiki of the characters before talking about them in depth.
Yeah, this was only I think my first or second attempt at fighting this boss, so I was still kind of getting used to her attacks. I don't think I quite expected that her moveset would be so different from the other Amanecidas. Each Amanecida fights very differently.
Yeah,
in
it's
fact,
awesome.
one of them, I think the fourth one that we'll see, even has her own take on the instant kill skull, or the what I thought was the instant kill skull attack. She actually does something completely unique with that. And as you can see here, each of the Amanecidas uses a different element. So you need to equip different rosaries that give you resistance to specific types of elemental damage. Obviously this one's lightning. The early one was fire. And then there's magic, which is just like lasers and the wax lasers and stuff like that. And then there's miasma, which is poison, basically.
Sucks to your asthma. I can safely say that I didn't expect that, but we've been picking up the various beads that give us resistance to elements, so
Yeah.
go ahead, do a Mega Man, why not, I guess? Maybe blue means lightning in this world.
I forget if we've already picked it up, but there is a rosary that gives you, a decent
What?
but not a decent but not great resistance against all elemental damage.
She didn't even get to do whatever the fuck that was.
I
Hell
don't know
yeah.
I don't know what that attack is because I was not going to risk showing it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But so cool.
Listen, homie, you can just say to the audience, that's an instant kill. You can't block it, and they'll believe you.
Then someone will call me out in the comments.
No, no one will call you out in the comments. You'll call yourself out in playthrough 4.
Now, if I was doing true 100%, I would have to do 4 playthroughs because you get specific New Game Plus rewards for completing each of the oaths, the New Game Plus paths.
Oh.
But I'm not doing that.
I don't blame you.
I will have to be satisfied with a 99.99% run.
This is a huge cross section of the game, massive cross section.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, really.
There's that extra thing. There's the other thing I'm not doing is Sacred Sorrows, which is the boss rush. I'm like as good as I am at certain parts of the game. Also, I loved how I used the Tiento here, but it turned out to be completely unnecessary because each of these enemies they go 0 for 4.
They just gotta work on their reaction time. That's all. They
They're
just gotta
old.
react a little faster. I do love their hovering chairs.
Their reflexes, they're not what they used to be, and it only gets worse when you have to rotate your entire floating chair, like those hovering crafts in the swamp area of MGS3.
Yeah, do you think that they have to drive them like cars, where they have to like back up their chairs when they're going up to the pulpit or whatever?
I'm just imagining an alternate one where it has to go beep, beep, vehicle reversing.
Watch out, he's got a backup camera. He can see you.
So I mentioned before that one of the Amanecidas has a variant on that skull attack, and we just saw it there. Obviously, it's miasma because that's what this Amanecida has, that specific element. And what she does is that she swaps places with the skull, and very quickly that skull detonates. It does less damage than the other skull attacks, but
ooh, that's tricky though.
Yeah, it's still a pain in the behind, regardless.
Well, because the other one you had time to get out of the way of, but this one, if you're hitting her and she does it, you got no choice but to be like, oh fuck, block.
Yep.
I just noticed something about the background that's fucking awesome. Those are the skulls of the other 4 Amanecidas, I assume, with you fighting the current alive 5th one. I just like that there's only 4 back there.
You are, that is technically correct. The best kind of correct, I'm told.
I guess in the Futurama, that joke will make sense to me. I'm so excited. This one is going down quite a bit faster than the other one, and the one we were just fighting. I've noticed that they have different vulnerability windows.
They do.
That arrow one was annoying because she was just teleporting left, right, and you had to walk to catch up with her.
Yeah. So she can't actually be hurt by those miasma circles that she throws. If you reflect them back, they don't do anything. But they do stop being able to rely. I was almost able to parry that one. The timing for that is very strict. Like I'm amazed I even managed to get it once. And of course, having the doubler helps.
Well, that's the thing about having these games take place on a 2-dimensional plane, right? Is that they have a little bit more license, I think, to like tighten up the necessary reaction times. I think like human reaction time is like, I don't even know what it is. I used to know it because Dark Souls is actually literally based on human reaction time and frame data, like a lot of fighting games are. And I have to wonder if this game has that kind of psychology included. Because again, being 2D lets them make it harder on you, because you yourself can react better in 2D.
Yeah, it also literally and metaphorically evens the playing field, in a way.
Yeah, it does. That's what's nice, is that these enemies don't usually have iframes, and if they do, they turn invisible or something, so you know they're invulnerable. Like that.
Yo!
We've been talking over it, but each of the Amanecidas, they all share the same theme, but depending on which Amanecida you're fighting, a different instrument takes the lead. I don't remember which instrument corresponds to which Amanecida, but there is definitely, if you listen to them on the soundtrack, there's 4 versions of them, and each of them has a different lead instrument.
That's awesome. I love when that stuff happens. I love when games use sound that way. I think Max Payne 3 was the first game I saw to use multi-track audio like that, based on the intensity the drums kick up and all that stuff. If you look it up on YouTube, you could probably find the songs from this boss fight compiled, where it's like guitar version, Spanish castanets version.
Yeah, like there was a bit of that in the Nintendo 64 days as well, but it's easier to do that with MIDI.
It can be.
From an audio engineering perspective. Like Red Dead Redemption had a trick where, the first Red Dead Redemption had a trick where all the songs were in A minor and at 120 beats per minute, so that the audio engineers could have an easier time coding in the transitions.
Whoa, that's awesome. I had no idea. I really like hearing about the specific technical methods like that. That's why I brought up the reaction time thing, is I have to wonder if they had game designers who looked up psychological studies on how people react when they're under the duress of, I don't know, not just an intense action game, but also being confronted by fuck, is that a giant bull with a woman riding atop it? And it's trying to kill me by smacking me with a carcass? You have to analyze the thing you're fighting and also react to it, and that's part of, I think, why these bosses are so hard, is because they're all different. If they were all the same, like those Esdras clones, then it would be easier to remember to do. But I'm glad it's not.
Yeah, there were far too many Esdras clones. Like I you know,
What
I've been
the-
spending, yeah, something like that. That is a move we've seen before because that was taken from Chrysanta. She did something very similar. That is particularly that
Yeah.
diagonal attack downward.
Okay, this is my favorite so far of them. That's an awesome weapon and attack style. The burst lance.
Yeah, and much like with Chrysanta, that particular attack can be parried. Not the last one, but the ones leading up to it can be parried.
It's amazing. It's like you're being beat up with a spire of Statue of Liberty helmets. It's like you're being beat up with your own stupid helmet right now. Do you regret wearing it? What if you were wearing a normal helmet and she were beating you up with like a gladiolus helm or something?
Which is, that's kind of interesting because if you think about it, the Tears of Atonement are kind of poor, tired masses yearning to be free.
When
That's true.
you're not wrong. I have to wonder, like, the guilt that we've been collecting. Do you think it's like one guilt per act? Because like some of these characters give you hundreds of atonement tiers.
You know what? I am so glad that the Game Kitchen did not go into detail about like the specifics of the power levels of Tears of Atonement. That would have been terrible. Like,
Yeah, it would have been.
I won't go into specifics, but there is some kind of a plot detail that comes up in the true ending, which some people think is over-explaining. I'm still kind of torn on that. But even that, like, that's nothing compared to what they could have done. Like, explaining the Tears of Atonement like they were midichlorians or something.
No, you're right. Man. That's a great comparison, actually, because keeping this fantasy and not turning it sci-fi, I think, is why Blasphemous is so, cohesive as a product, is because this game, not once in this whole playthrough, has deviated from this idea of dark religious fantasy horror. Not one time has it ever deviated from that specific niche, and I'm glad. It's one of the most cohesive games I've ever seen.
It deviates exactly once. It does it for a joke, and it was also DLC, and thus, not part of the official canon. But that's going to be in
dating
video.
sim.
That's going to be in video 21, I think, is where the goofier Easter eggs and extra modes that were added. That's going to be its own video.
I can't wait. Can't wait
Including
to see
the
that.
crossover DLC I keep talking about.
Oh, look, the skulls in the background are rearranging too per boss fight. That's totally an intended detail. I love it. I love that this game does have that stuff. In between stuff like that, whoa!
Oh, what the hell?
Greetings, He-Man. I am released.
We have now collected all of the Versus Spud of Gold, and with that we've unlocked the Obad of the Nameless Guardian, which is a summon, basically, that it's a big guardian that hits slow, but it hits hard, and it attacks with you.
I really like that the hardest quests to complete are the ones that give you a companion. The little cherubs, and then this fella, and it's cool that they make you work for things that would be so useful everywhere like that.
Yeah, and there's another that's probably my favorite of that type, which we'll see in the third playthrough.
I think you mean to say, there is another.
Yes. And speaking of there is another, I said there were 5 fights, but we
did.
only fought 4 Amanecidas.
Yeah, when you said we had them all, I was confused for a sec. I was like, did I miscount? Okay.
Well, we're going into this place called the Hall of Dawning.
It looks gorgeous in here. It looks like a PS1 game in here. Holy shit, those reflections on the floor.
Yeah, this is where
that's that
the
thing.
tomb of the true Guardian resides, and you can see each of those golden weapons there represent each of the weapons of the Amanecidas that we fought so far.
What an awesome room. Go back and pause in that room to the viewers. That looks like a Symphony of the Night ass room.
We've actually
really
seen
does.
that. Yeah, we've seen that room once before because there was a Quicksilver in there.
I am impressed that they made new sprites for whatever was in there busting out like the Thing. Hall of Dawning. Oh, very good. That's a very prophetic name. Wait a minute. You're inside a giant tree right now.
Yeah, we seem to have teleported to Super Castlevania 4.
I was gonna say different Castlevania game now, but the moon's still here.
Oh, Saeta, where once its piercing song shattered the mirrors and trinkets in my tomb, let its wail now grant light. Saeta, awakener of the desert, ignite these 5 lightless eyes.
Holy shit.
These millennia of torment, my punishment, thread through my bones like poison. My forbidden passion is my penance. My golden virtuous strength armors me. I let this happen.
I want to make that shot the thumbnail. I'm not entirely sure how big of a spoiler it would be out of context, though.
Deserved. Do it. 100%.
Take it away.
Make it so you can only see 4 of the skulls. I don't know.
Yeah.
What a
just
speech!
Photoshop Sailor Moon's face over it, 'cause it's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, just put each of the sailors as one of the skulls, and there you go.
The bargain that governs my awakening has been struck. I must end thy irreverent intention,
Oh!
penitent one.
Thy irreverent,
Fuck us! Yeah!
thy irreverent intention being my my goal to Photoshop your faces with various sailors.
Make it so they're under the skulls, like they're wearing it as a mask, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, that was awesome. I just got to comment right away on how fuck us. That was the best dialogue in the whole game. I'm so glad it took us 18 videos to get to it, because I have been waiting this entire time for literally anyone to call us a stupid dickhead for our pointless journey in which we slaughter thousands. I fucking think we are so dumb for putting ourselves at this level of risk that we will fight gods, because she literally just said the truth. Hey, idiot! Everyone has their own penance for the bad things that they do. I love it. I've been waiting the whole time for anyone to say exactly that. That penitence is not something that is delivered to you by someone else. It's something that you do.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that hits like a ton of bricks.
Oh yeah, the boss fight.
Yeah, so I have both the Pelican Effigy that gives you immunity while you're using the Bile Flask, and also the Cloistered Ruby, which we mentioned before. It kind of works like the Cloistered Sapphire, but I did not parry that. I did not parry at that time. It's because I used the Depla at a specific point to give me invincibility frames, so that I would not get owned by the skull explosion.
Brilliant.
And she just has the complete moveset.
Yeah. As you can tell, Laudes she split herself into the 4 Amanesidas that we fought earlier. So of course she knows she has a moveset that is just a combination of every other Amanesida.
We accidentally made her whole again. I played a
Yeah.
game called Dead Space that was it had a very similar philosophy on how making things whole again is not always the best choice. But think of it this way, right? Why have we decided to fight the Amanesidas? Do they actually need punishment from anything? Do they need any kind of penance? Is she actually right?
This is also only one of 2 bosses in the game, arguably 3 if you count Trismegistus, that has like phases that involve, multiple elevation points.
The verticality.
Actually, there's a
Yeah.
4th.
Yeah.
I can think of a 4th boss, but that one's only horizontal, not vertical.
I'm gonna assume that she don't come back down. I assume she stays up there firing arrows at your ass.
Yeah. I mean, she does have an attack. If you fall down and stay too long down there, she will eventually come back down, but then we'll try to force you up.
Yep. I'm surprised that oh man, you're going into the stratosphere. I am surprised that malaise isn't rising with you, or lava, or liquid piss.
Yeah, this is not like Trismegistus. You will not die if you fall off. It's just an inconvenience.
Well, and it gives her more chances to hit you.
Yeah, that's also true.
It's a really smart way to. We were just saying that being 2D evens the playing field. No, it doesn't. Only when they want it to. because they don't want it to right now. They want her to have the advantage, like it's a goddamn Terraria boss. I love it.
Yep.
This is awesome.
And just to bring up the name, sorry, go ahead.
You go. No, you go ahead.
Oh yeah. So just to bring up the name Amanecidas again. So Amanecida in Spanish, it literally means dawn or daybreak, which again makes sense that these are one of the oldest characters in the fiction. They're at the dawn of this kind of worship. But also, one interesting thing I learned about the origin of that name, or I guess not the origin, because it's become modern slang. Amanecida, or its male equivalent Amanecido, is, I guess, the closest English equivalent would be a party animal. It is specifically someone who parties late into the night and then wakes up very late, like at 1 or 2 p.m.
I love it. I love how these bosses and characters fit both names in the end.
Sorry, hold on. I have to correct myself there. It is someone who is partying all night long and goes to bed at like 3 or 4 a.m., but then has to wake up at 6 or 7 to run errands or whatever. So they're very tired is the point.
So average college student.
Yeah. Yeah, that is what an amanecido or an amanecida is in contemporary Spanish slang.
At the last bit of dialogue there, she commented on the gold.
There's one last reward here, and it is actually the final, well, not the final, the penultimate heart. By the way, you do not need to use the linen of gold thread here to survive that fall. It's the only fall of its type in the game that is survivable without it.
Was there any gas? Was there any gas to let you know?
No, there is no gas.
There you go. That's how you know that it's safe.
So this is the Brilliant Heart of Dawn. It is actually a speedrunning heart.
Huh.
It gives you an extra dash after you dodge.
Whoa.
And
You just
and
got
and as a consequence, you take more damage. This is a heart that we will be using at a very specific point in playthrough number 3. It is quite useful.
Wow.
So first of all, I didn't use the Elbad during the loudest fight.
Skeleton Pope!
So you were impressed by Loudus's dialogue. Loudus is
Yeah.
also the only boss in the game that has death quotes.
Come back to me when our miracle is returned.
Whoa! Oh, they really had fun with these expansion boss fights. That's awesome. So, are there multiples? Is that... Oh, man.
Kissed by the Your penitence ends.
My penitence isn't to deliver other people penitence anymore. I've ascended beyond that purpose now, lady.
Rest now alongside the broken reflection.
Ooh.
Oh, I get it. Get it? She was making a joke there. Reflection, because she came out of a mirror.
Now we must pause to reflect.
Genuflect, actually. Take a knee, penitent one. You know what? He does that regularly anyway.
And hey, how you doing, Imperial?
Hey, you again.
You don't seem to be doing too good.
Oh, no, he's not. Hey, buddy, you need to learn some contortionism.
Loudest. Oh, my Loudest. Have you been set free? Are you returning to the other side of the dream now that you have served your sentence?
Oh.
Tell me that I will
Now
be
this guy
at your
makes
side. Tell me that all of this waiting has not been in vain.
I'm sorry. That hasn't happened to anyone else.
Great happiness awaits me.
Well, buddy, anything's technically better than this.
It happened to Altagracias, the lady who gave us all of those rosary bead upgrades.
That seems like a very special thing reserved for a scant few characters. Everybody else has just died, left behind a horrible corpse that stays. But
And
to ascend the
Deogracias
first-
also has some extra dialogue once you beat Loudus.
I heard the iron creak, quake, and bend. From afar, I saw that more branches had grown from this reddish tree. What new trial does the miracle have in store for us now? What new revelation?
Is it free or does it cost money?
What has happened will stay between the ancient miracle and you.
Whatever awaits us was not in the original game files.
Exactly. Like even he has no idea what's going on now. He's usually like, he looks at his scroll and he's like, the archives are incomplete.
I'm literally the narrator of this game, and even I don't
Man,
know
we
what's
are
coming next.
So far off script now.
Well, in
Yeah,
the next
really?
video, in the next video, we will get what used to be the canon ending until it was retconned by later DLC. But that is going to be ending number 2
It's
of
going to be
3.
interesting.
And there are no new phases or new attacks or anything, but because we have more combat options, I think it's going to look a little different. So stay tuned, folks.
Woo!
Round 2 with the Pope.
It's a Pope Fight 2. This time it's heretical.
It wasn't before? Wait, before it was, now it's heretical. And only now is what we're doing heretical. Okay.
I mean, in comparison.